First Gen Wealth, we talk about an entrepreneur's journey to creating wealth. I've got a lot of friends, a lot of colleagues, a lot of peers that they're brought up with money and the ability to handle and figure that out. Finding dollars has always been easy. Finding a deal, making money, I can do that. What to do with it to make it continue to earn so we do have that generational wealth, that's the missing piece. We want our money that we've earned through blood, sweat, and tears to now go to work for us. So that money is making money while we're sleeping. Hey, welcome back to First Gen Wealth Podcast. I'm Randy Woodworth. I'm sitting here with my bro, Jim. This is episode 6 of season 2. So we're halfway through. Halfway through season 2. We're Jim and it's the Jim and Randy show. Mostly Jim show.
What are you going to do season 3? I'm going to feel kind of left out.
Well, maybe we'll just add a third. Maybe you and I will host and then bring guests in.
Okay.
That we can,
We'll see. We'll see. I'm okay with giving up the chair for a couple days.
Yeah. All right. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I like this. So we want to. I want to kind of talk about because we wrapped up the last episode like putting a bow on a half-hour long discussion about development, right? And then some of the scary things going on in the economy. You said develop, like add the apartments if you own a building, and I'm saying just add cash flow. So that's a big, it's like, oh yeah, let's add cash flow. How do you do that, right? So yeah. I just thought of this Facebook post I saw. One of my social media friends, I have many, right? So you get these
thousands.
You get these feeds and you just randomly see people's stuff. And this was somebody that had posted their 2023 goals and what they were. And it was like, the boxes that you check, right? And here's the things. And I'm not going to say all of them, but a couple of them. One was save $20,000. Admirable. I like it.
First off, putting your goals out there is
step
admirable.
one.
That's cool.
Step one. As it turned out, it was a joke and a meme.
Okay,
but
right.
It doesn't matter. For the purposes of this topic, it works, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, put your goals out there because that
holds
brings
you accountable, man.
That brings accountability, and that's what we're going to talk about a little bit. So one of them was $20,000, save $20,000. The other one's lose 20 pounds, right? And there was a list to check off as the year progressed, right? What was missing from that list, bro?
You said save 20,000, lose 20 pounds.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all sorts of stuff that could be missing.
But what's missing?
By how and by when?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the goal is a wish.
Yeah.
Written down, right? You need, and the reason I wanted to talk about this is because when I say add cash flow, it starts with, you've got to buy a property. And for all intents and purposes, this is what we're talking about.
Yeah, right.
And if cash flows, dividends, and it doesn't matter. You got to get some capital in your hands to deploy, to invest, whether that's real estate, whether it's gummy bears, whatever. I don't know why I said gummy bears.
That's weird. But.
That's weird. Anyway, you got to get some capital. So the $20,000 thing is a great goal. And actually our cameraman has that goal because he's trying to buy a duplex and is saving 15, right, Micah? 15,000. That's his goal. So in the purpose of that savings, and that helps to have it, why am I doing this, right? Is so I can have a down payment on something. And in his case, a duplex. And so what I'm saying is add cash flow, but what does that mean? All right, let's start looking at somebody's goals. And if it's $20,000, the idea behind that's great. We want to save $20,000. Break that down into what you said.
Yeah, well, it's a SMART goal. Are you familiar with that acronym?
There, that's what I want. Yeah.
So SMART, so it's got to be specific.
Yep. So 20,000 is specific.
20,000. The M is... Forgot them all. So
you did?
I did.
Oh.
So, but I know so R is realistic.
Timing is T.
And T is time bound. You have to have some type of...
A is achievable.
A is achievable. The M is, what is the M? We'll have to come back to that.
So the point is 20 grand. If you break that down, all right, I can save, $10 $200 off of my check each month. Okay. And whatever. This is
right.
a portion of getting to that 20,000. Maybe I sell some junk in my house. Maybe I sell the treadmill that hasn't been used because I know I'm not really losing the 20 pounds, right? But I could sell some stuff and I could save actual money from my check. Well, all right, now you got to break that down. If I'm saving $200 from my check, what am I cutting out of my expenses to be able to do that, right? So having those detailed plans for your goal, I think, is extremely important. And that's something I've definitely got better at. Like I wanted to sell off 6 property, or actually I wanted to sell off 12 properties this year. And so I went through and I decided which ones that I was going to target. I called it my hit list. Then I defined, like, within the office, who was going to help me sell those and who our target audience is. Like who's a reasonable, realistic buyer for this property, right? And we've sold 6 so far 8, excuse me.
Of the 12.
8 of the 12.
That's fantastic. I mean, one of the downsides of real estate is it's not liquid.
Right.
So it sometimes can be difficult to get rid of.
And these are, the majority of these properties were properties that, I had bought early on. They have a lot of equity, but they're not big cash flow properties.
Yeah.
They're small rentals. You know what I mean? It's not enough, like, to capture what I got.
The juice is not worth the squeeze.
The juice is not worth the squeeze. I got more capital in my possession. It would have taken me 10, 15 years in rent collections to get that same amount of money, right, from those assets. So that's why we did that. But just the whole idea of having the mindset that you want to increase cash flow, which means invest in for the purposes of our conversations, we're always talking about invest in real estate. It takes money. You don't want to buy something zero money down for the most part. Like that's a very rare occurrence when zero money down makes sense, because you're going to become a slave to your property because you're indebted to it, right?
I mean, yeah, I would say that's very deal specific and it's very your personal balance sheet specific, because I personally would be extremely comfortable taking a property with zero down and maybe losing a little bit of the piece of that cash flow for a longer play.
I'm talking to the guy that's starting out.
Yes, that's fine. But I'm just saying, like, long term, that may flip 100%.
It does, and I've done it.
But
because
going
it has
into it,
sense, yeah.
But it's still deal specific. You take Micah, for example. If he can get into a property with $8,000, keep $7,000.
Yep.
Then, and that might just be, whatever, closing costs or whatever, and he's still got $7,000 in his pocket, that you are less of a slave to that property than you put $7,000 down, extra down.
Because
because now you can absorb a couple months of somebody not paying. You can absorb, a somewhat major repair or expense.
Right.
Where if you put all your money into it and you're cash flowing, let's just say
it's smart to have
$200
reserve.
a month, like
yep.
that you're a couple $100 sounds great until 2 months of XYZ go wrong, and now you're in a situation where you're a slave to that property. So I think it's just very deal specific. Yes, you want to have some buffer, because if you did need to sell it to liquidate, you've got some equity. But I think, to me, even if you sacrifice a little bit of cash flow, you want more money in your pocket. If you're good with your money.
Yeah. Okay. See, I'm not. Yeah. So this is why we differ. I don't know how good you are with your money. You're probably better than I am. I'm not. So I'm broke all the time because I want my capital in assets.
Yeah.
Because if I have capital, it like leaks out like a hole in the bottom of a bucket. It's a forced savings account.
You're buying assets because you don't trust yourself with $100,000 in the bank. You'll blow it on stuff. I'm the same way. I probably am a little bit better than you, but I'm not like. Well, that's something I continue to improve.
You were in the military, so you have more discipline than I do. Happy veteran. Oh, that was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, that's all right.
But today it's when we're recording this, Veterans Day was 2 days ago.
Don't tell people.
I'm wearing the same damn shirt. You changed. It's all good. So yeah, that brings up a very good point. So your discipline, your money discipline, is absolutely a major factor in your investment strategy, right? If you're a miser, if you're somebody that can hold money and it doesn't find its way out of your bank account, of your pocket, of your whatever, then yeah, having that reserve and it makes more sense. But for a guy like me that every time I turn around, I'm donating to this, or let's go buy this.
Yeah. I mean, you got kids too, and those are expensive.
They are about $300,000 a year each, I think.
Not a year.
Oh, I don't know. This feels like it.
Not a year.
Damn,
you are a greedy landlord.
Yeah.
No, I think it's maybe 300,000.
And they're like between 0 to 18.
Food, clothes, shelter.
It's expensive.
All that stuff.
Well, I told you in the last episode, it's $54 at KFC, brother, for a family of 4, man. $54. Good Lord, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But anyway, so for me, I literally, if I have $100 in my pocket, it's probably finding its way out, because all of a sudden I got $100. Oh, I need to go and support, I'll go buy some chocolate from Myrtle's or some coffee, or, I wouldn't spend it otherwise.
Yeah.
So I need to protect myself against myself. So all of my capital always gets deployed back into assets to literally stay broke so that I don't waste it. That's why I don't have the collectible, I don't have the big monster truck I think I'd like, or none of that stuff. We don't have that crap. We have things, but I don't have nearly, if I didn't do what I did, I'd have more toys that were just costing me money sitting around collecting dust.
Before you got into real estate, I recall you buying lots of toys when you were in the construction field.
Yeah, I feel like they got repoed.
They did. Most of them did, or sold at a very large discount.
Sold at a very large discount. You're welcome, Rob Challenger.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh yeah, I remember him coming in the basement.
He bought my snowmobiles.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. So we have snowmobiles now, paid cash.
Yeah, a little different, but that's
Totally
the point.
different.
In a way, I mean, both strategies work. It just, you have to know who you are as a person, who you are with money, and if you're getting into real estate, hopefully you've got a pretty good idea of your history. It's been at least 18 years, so you kind of know how you grew up and what you can do with it.
Right.
But if you're confused, then should you put more down or should you finance more? Those are things a good loan officer like myself or a good real estate agent like you, we can help guide you in those decisions, not to push you in one direction or another, but just give you our experience as to, I've done it both ways. My first house, 0 down investment property back when you could do that stuff in 2005-ish. And I lost my ass on it. When I sold that property, I was writing a big fat check because I needed to get rid of it.
Was that Madison Heights?
That was Dewey Street in Owasso.
Oh yeah,
Kim Omer was the listing agent. My very first deal. You obviously helped me buy it.
That had a lot of issues on that one.
Yeah. So
there's risk in real estate.
Yeah. So I don't know. I lost maybe $30,000 on that deal in over years.
Sorry, bro.
So, but I think it was a great learning experience.
It got red tagged.
No, it didn't get red tagged.
Yeah, it did.
Well, not when I owned it. But anyway.
Yeah, it did. Anyway.
Regardless, it was a great learning experience. Going back, I'm not going to say I wouldn't have done it any other way. I would have done it a different way, but I learned from it. I understand the nuances of what you're saying, being slave to that property. I wasn't cash flowing on that, but I was thinking I'm going to, buy real estate, become rich, but be a millionaire, multimillionaire by the time I'm 30. And that didn't quite work out, but you learned a lot doing it. And so here I am today where I can make much, much wiser decisions as a result of that.
Yeah, and that's I think you're touching on a really good point. And it, if you can be smart, if you're smart enough, it's actually wisdom. If you're wise enough to take the advice of somebody that's done this, and there's plenty that have, rather than to just go out and do it on your own. And plenty of people have, and plenty of people have been successful, and more power to you. But there's something to be said about a strategy long term. You shouldn't be just I just want one duplex and my life's going to be glorious, or I just want one asset and my life's going to be glorious. It's nothing will change until you have a whole bunch, and a whole bunch of cash flow. So doing something strategic, and to me, having, again, like for me, I have to deploy that. Now I married strategically, right? Molly she's much better about not spending and keeping track of money. And the other thing I did years ago was when I was starting out in business, I kept everything really close to my chest, and I didn't let anybody know what was going on behind the curtain, right? Like it was very much me and me alone. Like nobody knew what the dollars and cents were behind what the finance. Now I don't even do it myself. Like it's an open book, and it's gotten a lot better, like hands down, like quadrupled.
Well, I mean, there is that. And I remember you and I having conversations that it was very uncomfortable for you to because like you said, you're always broke.
Yeah.
And people people look at you and say whatever they want to assume, you're this extremely rich, wealthy guy. Like, yeah, you got a lot of assets, but to let someone in and say oh shit, I may not be able to make payroll next week because I'm waiting on this deal to close. That's but since you've done that, Rick was a big part of that. Where he came in. Yeah, Rick was a big part of that. I remember, and now you can grow as a result because you have people like Amanda and Molly, and, people that Heather are doing those things that are way better than that at you. And I'm feeling that way with my company as well, where I'm not scared of letting my people know what the numbers look like and how we make money, how we lose money. And it can be scary because it is very personal. Yeah.
But the phrase comes to mind, you got to let go to grow. And it's hard. I feel like when I did that and put it in somebody else's hands, we're going off on a tangent. We tend to do that, but it definitely catapulted because everybody now was like, oh, we got to do more.
Yeah.
This isn't it ain't like we're, throwing it out the window. There's just a certain amount of money it takes to run a business, right? And there's a certain amount of money it takes to run each individual business. I think there's 18 or 23 or something that we have under this umbrella now. And just here's where we are. And we often have the conversation and it's very open. Oh, we need money over here. Okay, let's, make some moves. Got, it is what it is because I have, and that's what Molly, my wife is always saying, if you just stop buying, we would have more money. And I'm like, I don't know if we would. I just spend it, but I always deploy to the next asset, the next asset, the next asset. And I told you it's divine discontentment. And you're welcome. This is a gift from God. What my loving wife, Molly, it's a gift from God that we're discontent, meaning we're never satisfied with where we are. The goal is always shifting. The next level is always moving. I've never hit a goal or a target in my life because it's moved, right? I just keep going. I'm just discontent. And what has that done? Well, it's grown. It's affected my downtown. It's affected your investment, and you've grown, and you have the same disease, if you will. But because of that, you've started a business. You help others. It's one. Not everybody has that. There's divine contentment where people are just very much satisfied right where they're at, and that's great too. All I care about is you're finding your path and you're doing what's good for you. And for us, it's going, baby. Yeah. It's that next level.
Well, I think, I don't know if it's a disease or if it's just
divine. It can't be.
Yes. Well, it can feel that way too, because I often think okay, well, at some point, and Jill and I have this conversation all the time, are you ever going to be able to disconnect and not think about it, or you know what I mean? There's jobs where you clock out and I'm not thinking about it until the next day. And I said, I don't think I ever want to.
No.
It really and I think the creative side of my brain needs that type of constant challenge to where I feel fulfilled.
Right.
And without it,
it's part of your identity.
Well, yeah. And so at what point I mean, when I'm 70, when I'm 80, like you talk about never having the money because you're deploying it in assets. Are you going to still be buying properties when you're 80 years old? Who knows? I mean,
yeah. And I see it. I see it with guys around, it's different. I mean, it changes, it evolves, and you're not, you might not be clocking in on a daily basis. Matter of fact, when Todd Costa from the Okemos office was here earlier, we were joking about flying in to meet with the boys on a quarterly meeting when we're 80, because they're doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I'm still looking at 80. I'm like, I like that asset, or let's redevelop that. Like I love it. It's so much fun. So I don't see it stopping. And I've got clients that are that age. Now, again, their lifestyle is very different. They have a lot more free time. They can do it on planes going hither and thither, right? Is it thither? Yeah,
I
sure.
don't know.
Hither and
I've never
thither.
heard that before.
Yeah, they've got condos or beachfront townhomes in places that they have other assets, right? So those are business expenses. It just evolves. This is a business that it can be done at every level because there's real estate everywhere. I mean, when I say at every level, I'm saying at every location, right? So the idea of slowing down is more about the evolution of the business, because you grow that cash flow to a point where, and I hear it. Okay. So you get second and third generation companies. They're always talking about having too much capital. They've got to buy stuff because the cash flow on the assets that maybe granddad bought,
right? Yeah.
It's paid off. It's kicking off. If it's like a strip mall, like you look at some of these large strip malls that are kicking off $60,000, $70,000 a month that doesn't have debt, and you have like,
yeah, that becomes
30
world,
of those. It's a different kind of problem, right? So they don't want to sell, because then what do they do with the money? They already got too much money.
So that is something I think about. Like, you run these financial calculators and you look at your cash flow, and when things start to get paid off, what that looks like. I'm like, I can't spend that much money. You know what I mean? Like
and that's where we're different. I can.
I mean, I can have fun trying, but it's...
You know what a jet costs? $65,000 a month. That gives you 10 hours of flight time. 8 passengers.
A month?
$65,000 a month to own a $5 million jet.
Okay.
So, there's ways to spend it.
Okay, well, I mean, yes,
there's ways to spend it.
I can spend it. But that would be cool.
You're saying when those debts are paid off, yeah.
Yeah, or like you keep accumulating these assets, and then eventually there comes a time where it's like, okay, when it flips in a pretty significant way where your cash flow completely changes. Mm-hmm. And then, you can run your business a different way at that point too, because now you may have somebody stepping up and taking over the day-to-day operations, and you're more strategic behind the scenes doing things. And so,
or you still go in the office every now and then. Like you look, there's some big, there are big companies around, in the Lansing area, family names, and those guys worked well into their 80s, and they showed up around 10, brought an apple pie, left around 3, and that's what they did. You know what I mean? Like they want to be in there. Yeah. They want to be in the mix. Now, are they taking off, for a month on end to go to Florida when it's cold? Absolutely. Are they still checking in the office? Probably not as much.
Well, that's one thing about it I love about my crew here in Owasso is we all love to be in the office.
Yeah.
At least I think. They tell me that. But we could all work from home.
Yeah.
Like we don't need office space to do what we do. I just freaking love it. I just love the camaraderie and the strategic thinking.
In our business, like we call them powwows. Like we got to have powwows because you'll get a property, it's not moving, and you got to have a brainstorm sesh. And it's like boom, boom, boom. We'll think of 6 things sitting around.
Yeah, what could you do? How could you market it?
100%. Who can we call? Buyer? Who do you got? And it's like we start connecting dots, and it's got to happen. Like for us, we got to be in here. You know what I mean? At least on a weekly, once a weekly, we got to be together. But we're always, in and out I'm always in and out.
Yeah, I had a guy come here Friday and said, I don't
2
think they
o'clock
work on Friday.
2 o'clock on a Friday,
Yeah.
you know, especially during hunting season. That's why, I got the little beard going here. So it's going to get real quiet. Michigan, November 15th is a national holiday. I asked my electrician if he was going to get into this property that's all framed up and waiting for him. He's like, probably not this week, bro.
Yeah. I never got into that. I mean, I love eating venison. I love, cool for you to go out there and do that.
Well, I'll get you a doe this year because it is unbelievable the amount of does.
Yeah. I've been hearing that.
Yeah. So I'll get you one. Leo wants one.
I feel like you still owe me some venison from that deer we drug
out
of the river.
Yeah. That's that one.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I don't hunt. It's like, like people are like, hey, can you help me move this weekend? No. You know why? Because I've never asked you to help me move. I will never ask anyone to help me move. I just won't do it.
Well, I didn't realize.
Because I don't want to be on the hook.
Yeah, so I shot a deer and it ran into the river and then died on the other side.
In the river.
In the river. So I had to hook it up to a canoe.
Waterlogged.
Canoe and row it across. And then where I landed, because the river was moving at such a clip that I ended up 300 yards down from where I wanted to, because this deer is a floating anchor, pulling me, and I ended up on this sheer cliff. And Jim helped me.
Yeah, that was
Jim helped me get it up. Yeah, thanks, bro.
Yeah,
and I gave you a summer sausage, a big log.
You did.
And
I think we
jerky.
are even for that. I don't have room in a freezer. We keep buying these pigs at the fair.
Yeah, so
Who wants some breakfast meat? Hit me up if you want some breakfast meat. I got you.
All right. We obviously ran out of real estate shit to talk about because we're talking about does and pigs. But I will get you a doe this year.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I need to cull the herd, if you will. So anyway, I think we can put a bow on it, bro.
Yeah, do you want the takeaway of today's episode?
Are we doing takeaways now?
I think that's. I
don't
know.
it.
I think the takeaway is number one. Find out what the measurable. It's got to be measurable, because what gets measured gets improved. So specific, measurable, attainable, realistic.
Is it timing?
And time bound. Timing, time bound, whatever. But really, that's my takeaway is when you're setting goals for yourself, you have to. It can't be, I want to increase my cash flow. Well, how are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? And what are the steps you're going to take? And that's the takeaway for me is setting goals isn't just saying I want something. It's you got to put some thought behind the goal to figure out how you're going to do it.
Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, timely, or time bound. I just looked it up, so you got it. All right. So that's today's takeaway. Set your goals for the purposes of, in my opinion, adding cash flow to battle some downturns in the economy, and make them SMART goals. Rewind it, play it again to hear what that stands for. So that'll do it for episode 6 of FGW. Thanks, bro.
Absolutely.
So next week, sign us off. Sorry, you're doing the sign-offs.
Hey, congrats to our Corona Cavaliers, baby. State champions. You'll be able to edit that out, I hope so.
Yeah, if that's not true, just edit that out. But congrats. Yeah. Go Cavs. State champs.
Yeah, that's how I'm signing off, and it's going to be there. So go Cavs.
All right. See you.